you. If you look very, very, very carefully, you may be able to see a leopard that is panting away. It is very, very hot, like I said earlier. And she's tucked away herself underneath a tree, trying to hide away from the sun. And it's a young leopard. It's a young leopard, and her name is Kuchava. Now, she lives up to her name. Kuchava means skittish. She is a shy leopard, but she's definitely got much better. But she's also particularly shy at the moment because she has a very, very young cub that is only 3 months old, but we haven't seen the cub yet. Now, Charlie, you're wondering at what age are leopards fully grown? Well, I suppose it depends if it's a boy or a girl, Charlie. So a female at about 4 years old is not going to get too much bigger. Might put on a little bit more weight and get a little bit stockier, but she's not going to grow any taller. However, a male leopard is going to keep growing for much longer, and they normally only reach their, well, as big as they're going to get at about 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old. And again, they just get more and more muscle as they get older too. So sometimes when a leopard is at about 8 years old or so, they start to form a big dewlap underneath their throat. So it's like an extra saggy piece of skin around their necks. And you don't really see it when they're younger. Sometimes, like there's a young male leopard named Hosanna. He's very young still, but he's already starting to get a very small dewlap. So we think he's going to be a big boy. And he's only 2 and a little bit at the moment. So I would say when you see a male leopard and he's about 8 years old, he's not going to get any bigger than that. He'll be the biggest that he's going to be. But it also just depends if they've eaten or not. That makes a huge difference on the size of a leopard. So if they haven't eaten anything for a while, they look like skin and bones, and the same thing goes for a lion. But as soon as they've filled those bellies, it's almost like they double in size again. So that also plays a big role in it. Now, I can smell rotten meat as well, so I think she might have a kill somewhere. Colin, you're wondering, how do I know if this leopard has a cub if I've never seen it before? Because other people have seen it on safari. Now, the leopards and the lions in the Sabi Sandville, so that's the area that we're in now, the private game reserve. These are the most famous leopards and lions in the world. I promise you right now, if you ask your teacher to maybe go into Facebook and type in Kuchava, Kuchava, female leopard, she has her own Facebook page. How cool is that? So even though I haven't seen her, other people have seen her in the area, and they've seen her baby. And they post all these pictures about her so that when people come on safari in the Sabi Sand, because it's the best safari destination in South Africa, they might want to still follow and see what's happened to the leopard or the pride of lions that they saw, even if they're sitting at home in America or in France or perhaps even in Australia. So it's quite cool. Hey, would you have ever thought that a lion and a leopard could have a profile on Facebook? I didn't, but they do. It's really cool. So you can even ask your mom and dad to help you follow some of the lives of these animals too. But Kuchava's quite a young girl. Now, you may have heard Brent say that he's also looking for a leopard by the name of Tundi. This is Tundi's daughter, in fact. It's so hard to see her in there. Carl, you're wondering what is my favorite big cat in Africa? It's actually the cat that Tristan's looking at, that Tristan has found this afternoon, the lion. I love the lions. I've loved leopards too, because they're so beautiful, and the way that they can climb trees is just amazing. But I have a soft spot. Perhaps it's because my hair sometimes looks like a male lion's mane, especially if I haven't brushed it in the morning and I've just woken up. Look how she's staring at us. That's incredible, Sebastian. It's kind of a little bit scary, don't you think? That we can't really see her. The only way we see her is when Sebastian zooms in like this. And she's watching us. She's making sure we don't make any sudden movements and we don't get too close to her. I don't know if her cub is with her, or maybe she has stashed it somewhere in the bushes away from her. Or that cub could just be hiding under the tree, but we're not going to move around too much because we don't want to scare her. We don't want to make her feel uncomfortable. Right, off you go, back across to Tristan, whose lioness is still staring into the distance. I'm so excited that Kuchava decided to move. and come out of her hiding spot. Now, I'm talking a little bit softer because Kuchava was calling for her cub, making the noises exactly that Brent was making. And this little cub is very, very, very young. So I'm just looking around. It's not really used to cars. It's not really used to the sounds of our voices. So I just want to make sure that I can see where it's coming from. It might be a little bit shy to come out, and I know leopard cubs very well. They don't like to listen to their moms when they're called. Let's see if we can hear her calling. Now she doesn't want to make a sound. I was hoping she was going to carry on calling, but I think she's tired of calling her little one now. There we go. Did you hear that sound? I think she's getting a bit annoyed. It's a very soft sound. Now, Kaylee, you were wondering at what age do the cubs or do the leopards go off on their own? She sounds very concerned. The boys normally stay with mom for a little bit longer than the girls. So sometimes the males can stay with their mothers for up to between 16 and 18 months old. So almost 2 years, but not quite 2 years. And the girls will sometimes leave a little bit earlier than that. Here. She's going, please come, I'm calling you. That little cub is going to be in trouble if it doesn't listen to mom. I don't know if the cub is a boy or a girl. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet. So it'll be quite nice to see. Come on. Where are you hiding? And mom would have hidden it as well. And Lily, I think you and I are on the same page, because I was just about to answer your question, which was, why do they hide their cubs? So they're very vulnerable for the first couple of weeks of their life. So mom needs to keep them hidden away, nice and safe from other leopards, from things like baboons, hyenas, lions, that if they came across them, they would kill them. So that is why they hide their cubs. So if they have eaten something, mom will call them out, suckle their little ones while she's had something to eat. And then when she's finished, she'll play with them for a little bit, and then she'll send them away. They don't normally just have one cub. They can have up to 3 or 4 cubs. But for a first-time mother, because she's still very young, it's the first time that she's had cubs, normally one is normal. So now we just have to wait patiently. But it could end up that she ends up calling for an hour before she gets tired of that little one's nonsense and then decides, right, I'm going to come and fetch you. And it's like when you go to the shopping center and you've run away from your mom and your mom calls. And if you don't come after the 5th or 6th time that mom has called, you know that you're going to be in big trouble and probably get grounded or something like that. Well, no sweets for you. Now, Tia, you're wondering how old do leopards normally live for? Again, it depends. Remember, these are wild animals. So out in the wild, their lifespan will be a little bit shorter than if they were living in captivity. Life is very tough for them in the wild, but of course it's the life that they know. So leopards can live up to 14, 15 years old. I know a leopard that only died at 16. She almost turned 17 years old. Her name was Nottins. She was a very old girl. She was lucky to live that long, but I would say for a female, around 14 years is a good age, and for males, normally maybe between 12, 13 years old. But again, they can also live a little bit longer. It just depends on what's happening in the area. Life is tough for a leopard out here. And this little leopard, if we ever get to see it, unfortunately doesn't stand a good chance of survival. Life is so hard. Imagine having to try and hide away, hope that no new male leopards come into the area, because if they do, and their cub is too young, they're going to kill them. The male leopards don't want to raise or pass their genetics on to and help protect a leopard that is not theirs. She stopped calling now. I think she's tired. Just sitting back down in the grass again, under a nice shady tree. It's a good spot that she's got here. A very nice spot. And also the clouds are going past the sun every now and then, which is making it nice and cool for Sebastian and I. Luckily for us, we don't have a big coat of fur like that leopardess does. Can't imagine how hot she must be feeling. Right, well, we're definitely not going to go anywhere. We're going to just sit here and hope that the little leopard cub comes out so we can find out if it's a boy or a girl. Let's go see what Tristan's lioness is now doing. Well, how cool is this? Finally got to see my favorite leopard of the northern Sabi sand. She's looking up now, though. There was a bird that flew over the head and it got a fright and went, "Ah, leopard!" and then stopped talking. And that's what she was staring up at. Now, she was obviously calling for her cub. And she's just starting again. Come on, girl, call a little louder than that. Now, you can hear a bit of movement, of rustling of leaves, but I think that's because there was a kudu cow that had actually spotted Kuchava and was barking at her. Maybe because she's called in the same spot, she's going to get up and go and look for the little one. Which is going to be challenging because it's exceptionally thick in here. But like I said earlier with the kids, I'm going to keep my voice down and not bellow across Chitwa, because I don't want to scare the little cub that's probably not used to too many vehicles, or let alone the sound of our voices. I'm sure, though, when it heard that kudu barking, it would have given that little one a bit of a fright. So perhaps it's going to lay low for a little bit. Also hear angry elephants in the distance, perhaps on their way down to Chitwa Dam. But I think we'll try and spend as much time as we can with Kuchava, just until that cub comes out and before everybody goes on safari. It's nice to be the only one here. Now, Marcy, you're wondering why are cubs so stubborn? Well, I suppose they're just like children. It's like, why do children never listen to their parents? It's a difficult question to answer. Hey, Seb, I mean, you can only talk firsthand. I just know that I was a little brat, and whenever my mother called me, of course, I did everything but listen to her, like most kids do. So, thank you, girl, coming out into the open a little bit. So I suppose she knows, or not she, I don't even know if it's a little girl or boy. Also, has anybody seen any decent pictures where they've been able to have a look and see if the cub is a girl or a boy? I'm not sure. But hopefully we'll be able to find out. I'll be able to see firsthand. They do eventually listen. Like I said, that kudu was barking really loudly. I got a fright. I almost jumped out of my seat. So you can imagine a young leopard cub that's still learning all the sounds of the bush, probably going to intimidate that little one too, and it might take a little bit more of encouragement to come out. Also listening to birds alarming in the distance, but I think that might be too far away for that cub. I don't think that little one is too far. Maybe it's having a snooze. Maybe it's fast asleep and didn't even hear Mom calling. But I am still looking around. At one point she was facing sort of more north, staring in that direction as she was calling. Now she seems to be looking a little bit further south. But that could also be the kudu, because I know the kudu went around that way. I think she's just keeping an eye on it. Very peaceful and calm. And the turtle doves. And you have all sorts of birds chirping. I'm hoping we're going to get another spectacular sunset this evening. Well, we're definitely not going to go anywhere. Hopefully Kuchava keeps on calling and is persistent, and that little cub eventually listens and comes on out. That'll be very nice Tuesday afternoon surprise. But Tristan's lioness starting to wake up, and she's giving herself so much tender love and care. We're hoping, Tristan, we're hoping. I'm bouncing very quietly, which I'm not really good at. But because it's my favorite leopard of the northern Sabi Sands, I'm trying my best, my absolute best, to not get too excited. She's stopped calling, though. She actually hasn't called for the last 5 or so minutes since you've left us. She's just been sitting nice and quietly, I think enjoying the breeze, just like Seb and I are. Every now and then, it's so stunning, hey Seb? You just want to kind of stick your arms out the car. It is like a bit of aircon, yes, and I think she's enjoying it too. Now, JC Basinga, you're wondering what are Kuchava's distinguishing marks? Well, I haven't seen her for a while, but she's definitely got 3 spots on the left side of her face. See those top spots? Pretty much in line with the top of her nose. And then she's got another 3 on the right side of her face. So she's got a 3-3 pattern. I'm trying to think what else. Can we see anything else? Maybe some... Look at that marking on the left side of her face. You see those dots coming from the corner of her left eye? Sort of 1, 2, 3 coming straight down. Well, there's 4 of them coming straight down if you count the one in the corner of her eye. That's quite cool, in fact. It almost does a big spiral from her corner of her left eye. And then if you go down and come back towards her nose, look how it's sort of those dots all twirl in. I've just noticed that now. But that's quite a cool little feature. Maybe somebody can take a screenshot if you know what I'm talking about, or I might have to do it, and then connect the dots. But I suppose you can find something that you would like to use that's easy for you to recognize. You can see she's a young girl. Look at those teeth. Perfect, still nice and white, not chipped, although we know Shongile ended up chipping one of her teeth, and she was still quite young. So Kuchava has managed to maintain her teeth really, really well. She's giving off a couple of sort of contact calls every now and then. Hello, Lady Starfire. It's great to hear from you, of course. Now, you're wondering if I know how many cubs Kuchava has had. This is her first litter. I don't think she would have had any cubs prior to this. Now, she's quite young. When was her birthday? Was it August 2014? Or was it September? I have a brown... I was going to say I have a little black book, but it's not. I've got a little brown notebook with all the information in. But I know she should be 4 this year. She was born in 2014. Sorry, Seb, I'm just digging. I haven't got much space in Jigger, so I've wedged all my things at the back. Let me have a look. So, I mean, she could have had a cub already, and we maybe just didn't know about it. Maybe it didn't make it. That's also a possibility. Let's go. Lions and leopards. Do you guys remember when I was making those notes? Okay, she's calling again. Let's have a little listen. Yes. August, September 2014. That's when she was born there. Uncertain exactly of her date of birth, but I thought it was somewhere around there. Shall we say she was born on the 28th of August, and then her and I can just share a birthday? It doesn't really work like that. Rebecca's laughing at me now. I'll tell you what she said. She said, well done for telling everybody when your birthday is. She's a great way to get lots of presents. I feel like it's public knowledge anyways, because it's all over my social media accounts. Having a good laugh. Come on, girl, go fetch your cub. Please. I really want to see it. I really, really, really want to see her. She's a beautiful girl. She really is a stunning cat. Lovely golden eyes too. I think you've almost got like a hint of green in them. Just a little bit. I suppose it depends which angle you look at them. She makes funny noises, hey Seb? Like really interesting. Normally it's a classic oh, row, row. But she makes all sorts of strange sounds. Apparently I don't sound much like a leopard because she didn't even glance at me once. It's okay. Now she's still looking back to the north again, so I'm thinking that's where the cub must be. There are lots of termite mounds in that direction too. That would be a great place to stash a cub. Remember, her little one is very young, 3 months old, very, very, very young. So during this time, it is going to be important the way we handle the vehicles around the cub. Our voices, of course. We want to make sure that this habituation process goes smoothly. And she... Whew, I am sweating. Not because it's hot anymore, because my nerves. I promise you, it's like being a worried parent out here with all these animals. I mean, my hat was almost off my head. Just a branch whacked my face. So basically what's happened is that Kuchava ran north in the direction of her cub and then has slunk all the way back round. And now she's sitting west of where those lions were, sort of scavenging over the rest of her kill. All the growling and stuff is basically stopped now, as I think that they've devoured the leftover daycare. I don't think Kuchava's going to make any noises at the moment. I think she's going to sit as quietly as she can. So she's obviously come back to see what's going on. I think she wants to see maybe how many lions are in the area, what's going on. Are they going to go towards where her cub is stashed? I don't think the lions know where the cub is. Whew. I'm just glad we found her. Hey, big girl, well done. That was quick, let me tell you. Until you see a leopard running away from lions, you don't realize how fast they can actually move. They are quick off of the mark. And you can see every now and then she stops panting to listen as to what's actually going on over there, but I can't hear the lions anymore. She needs to be careful. Those Styx lions are relentless. They just have a look about them today. And I don't think Kuchava or her little one needs to be anywhere near them. They need to stay as far away as possible. That was very tense. Hey, Seb? That, my heart, I cannot tell you how stressful that was for me. Now, I believe you're all happy that we managed to relocate on Kuchava. I'm also, I agree with you 100%. We were super, super lucky. I was worried that she had disappeared. Initially, they thought that, bless you, that she crossed out. Now, Jennifer, you're wondering, if need be, would a leopard carry its cub up a tree? I've never seen that before, but, I mean, Kuchava's cub is so small still. I mean, 3 months old. If you look back just a little while ago at #NotRebel, Tandi's little daughter, you would remember how small 3 months is. It's still tiny, perhaps out of desperation. I mean, these cats are able to take things up trees that weigh just as much as them, sometimes even more than them. So a little cub shouldn't be a problem. Whether that cub will be able to climb a tree very well, I highly doubt it. But I mean, even if it's just putting it in the fork of a tree, remember, lions can also climb trees, so it might not even be the best position. I think what Kuchava's doing now and not going to her cub until these lions move out of the area is probably the best decision. Because if she goes to fetch it, that little one's not going to be able to keep up if she needs to get into a sprint again. So I think laying low and leaving that area alone. I'm sure the cub is fine, everybody. The lions haven't gone down there. That was crazy, though. Crazy, crazy, crazy scary. She's just still looking north. I think if something had happened, she'd be a lot more distressed than this. Like I said, I'll never forget the morning after Little Bush Mvula's mother lost one of her cubs. The sounds that she was making, she was charging vehicles, she was so unhappy. We knew that something had gone wrong, and then we realized what had actually happened. Well done, girl. I know you're not in the clear just yet. Now, Natalie, you're wondering if she's panting because she's either A, nervous, or B, hot, tired, all these different feelings. I think it's a combination of both now. She was panting earlier because it was hot. Remember, she'd also been feeding, so all that food pushing up against her diaphragm, causing her to take short, sharp breaths. Again, it's hot, and I think the adrenaline is pumping through her body at the moment too. I'm sure she's pretty scared. Imagine a whole pride of lions coming through, charging in like that. They gave us a huge surprise. We had absolutely no idea. They came in so quietly. So quietly. It's only when I don't know if they were walking or if they were maybe stalking on in, but when they did start running, you could hear that there were lions around. You could definitely hear that that was the case. My goodness. Well done. Very impressive. Remember, this leopard is still young too. She's very inexperienced at life. I bet she's had a fair few encounters with lions and perhaps other leopards and buffalo and baboons and all these different types of things. But she's still got a lot to learn too. She's nowhere near as experienced as Tandy is. Yeah. Now, Avon Wishes, you're wondering if a leopard would fight a lion to protect its cub? I don't think so. I think... Oh. Right. We'll come back and answer your question. Let's very quickly go to Tristan, whose lioness is walking straight towards an impala. Goodness. Kuchava just ran, bolted. There's a third lioness. We couldn't work out what happened. Absolutely bolted. Oh my gosh. I think this is sticks. That is where Kuchava was, and that's where Seb and I think there was a kill, because you remember how we said during the school drive we could smell rotting flesh? So I think that's what they're scrapping over. Kuchava bolted north in the direction that she's been looking to find that cub. I'm sure this is the Styx Pride. Let's go forward, Seb. Let me get in there quickly for you. Hold on. We'll go back and try and find Kuchava. Let's just see what's going on in here first. Yeah. Definitely the Styx Pride. Very, very mangy, I'm afraid. Look how they're smelling. Look at these. Look at the lionesses. They know that there was a leopard here. They know. They're on her scent. I hope that Kuchava runs in the direction of her cub and takes it very, very, very far away from here. These cats are hungry. Not that they'd necessarily be wanting to eat that leopard cub, but they will try and kill Kuchava and her little one. That is the reality out here. They're both competing for the same kind of food. I don't know what they're... Oh, it looks like it maybe was a day. Could you see the head there, Seb? Let me go forward a little bit. And then... Okay. Now, if you look, I saw one of the youngsters. It looked like a daycare head that they had. So that must have been what the kill was. I'm just looking with my binoculars. Because Seb and I in different spots, we can see different sections. Now, I'm pretty sure Kuchava had eaten most of that already. I don't think there would have been much left on there. Especially for these guys to scrap like that. I mean, a dake is a tiny meal. I'm just looking to see where those lionesses have gone. Did you see where they went? Oh, no, me as I was... Yeah. Oh, there might be a little bit left there. Looks like they're pulling a relatively good amount of flesh off. I don't know where the lionesses have gone. I'm trying to see if... Oh, there's one. They're moving straight in the direction exactly as to where Kuchava was. They're looking around, looking up in the trees. You see that? Now, I believe you're all very stressed. Me, even me. My heart is sitting in my feet at the moment. I couldn't work out why that leopard ran like she did. I thought that maybe she'd seen something going towards the area that her cub was in, and then Seb shouted, "Lion behind us, lion." That was crazy. Okay, good. They're going in the opposite direction now. Now they're going back west. That's amazing. Now they must have smelt this carcass. They must have smelt it. Because all combination of smelling it and perhaps picking up on Kuchava's contact calls. And then they came running on in. Like I said, it's a dog-eat-dog world out here, or cat-eat-cat world in our case. One of the youngsters running off with some scraps. Clever little one. These are the sub-adults fighting here. I have not seen the Styx Pride for an exceptionally long time. It's been really, really, really a while since I last saw them. Do you know what I'm going to do? At some point, I'm going to have to try and get hold of Sheldon. And my radio doesn't work down here to tell him what's actually happening. Because he was the one that told me about Kuchava as well. And helped me get into the sighting, pointed me in the right direction. Again, we're all on our own. There's one of the lionesses. I think what she's going to do is she's going to go to the other sub-adult that's run off a little bit south of here with some scraps and probably try and take it away from it. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's 6 Styx sub-adults left. But I can't even remember. The last time I saw them, they must have been, the oldest cubs must have been about 7 months old, and I think the youngest ones were about 3 months old. It was quite a while ago, though. Anyway, it doesn't really sound like there's too much left. It did look like a little common dacre that Kuchava had caught. Ooh, big fights going on here. All normal, of course. Remember, these animals don't have any table manners. They eat how they want to eat. And if you aren't savage and quick enough, you'll leave the table with no dinner. No, Styx Pride not looking good, though. Very mangy. They look even more mangy than when I last saw them. Seb, what do you think we should do? Do you think we should quickly go and check where Kuchava went? There's a massive jackalberry tree behind us. That if I was her, that's where I would have gone. I think let's go for a quick look around for Kuchava. Let's do that. And we'll come back here. We can definitely do that. So we're going to zip around and quickly go and see if we can pick up on Kuchava again. I bet you're all worried, sick, just like Sebastian and I are. We can hear these guys fighting over the scraps, so we will come back here. But while we do that, I'm going to send you across to Tristan to see where his lioness has gone. She is indeed. Whew. But I tell you, right now, the adrenaline is still pumping through Seb and I can't believe how quickly that all happened. My goodness. So it just goes to show you how much more in tune these animals are to their environment than we could ever be. I mean, we were sitting quietly too, hey, Seb? I mean, we weren't saying a word. I think you were trying to record sounds of Kuchava calling the cub. I mean, so we were sitting very, very quiet. I can't believe I didn't hear anything. Not a sound. There wasn't even a bird alarming. So they must have been stalking in. They must have heard her. They must have smelt something. But I suppose we had a question that we were going to get back to from Avon Wishes about whether a leopard would ever fight a lion to protect its cub. I don't think so. I mean, overall, a lion is much stronger than a leopard and could do some serious damage to not just the cub, but also to, well, the mother itself. So I think what would happen is that, sadly, she might stand her ground for a couple of seconds and then realize what's going on and actually end up fleeing. Because she knows she can have another cub again, but there's only one of her. And if she dies, well, then there's no, her purpose in life is failed. She can't pass her genetics on anymore because she won't be alive. So I have seen footage of leopards protecting their young from strange males, just like a lioness would. Try and put up a fight if there are new males that have come into the area and try to do a takeover. But again, even lions realize that a big male lion, if he comes in and he says, I'm going to kill your cubs, and if you don't move out of the way, I will kill you too. And it must be a traumatizing experience for these animals because you can see they don't want to go, but they know they have to, if it means losing their life. So it's a shame. It's a very awkward thing awkward, horrible situation that these animals are put into. But again, this is nature. This is just how it is up here. We're just here to observe and try and understand what's going on with all the many mysteries in the wilderness. But a really amazing thing to see, though. Now, Shawayne, you're wondering if the cub would have had natural instincts to hide away from the lions, even at this age? Yes, I definitely think so. I think once that little leopard cub would have heard the growling, it would have gone into camouflage mode and sat very, very still. Maybe even run away a little bit and into a new shrub and ducked out of sight. Like I said, I think even when the kudu was barking a little bit earlier, that would have frightened the cub, and perhaps that's why it didn't come out, because it was nervous. I am so happy. I cannot tell you how happy I am that cub didn't come out. Hey, said, if that cub was there, I honestly don't think that it would have made it out there alive. Yeah, maybe thank you to the kudu. Maybe we need to say thank you to that antelope for barking so loudly and so closely that perhaps it terrified it and it wasn't, sure of those sounds and decided to stay put. Because those big cats came in so quickly and they all spread out. Some of them went straight in for where the rotten smell was coming from, which was under the bush where we initially saw Kuchava. And then the others, the two lionesses, they didn't even go there. They went straight to where Kuchava was laying, under that wattle. They went straight there. They then were looking up into the tree as if to say, we can smell you, where are you? So I think that would have been a terrifying experience and a very sad one if that little cub had indeed come out. So maybe it's a good thing, and that it was being a little bit on the cheeky side and wanting to ignore mom today. Everything happens for a reason. What a great life lesson, though, that young cub has learned. It was really, really, obviously a lot of emotions involved in this kind of sighting. Excitement, fear. Your adrenaline's going, you don't know what to think. But I've definitely learned a lot for this. Now, First Lady, you're wondering if this kind of situation happens often in a leopard's life. I think so. I think more so than we think. Again, we just don't spend enough time with these animals. Sometimes we aren't able to follow them 24/7 due to the fact that the vegetation is too thick or they move off of an area that we can traverse on. But I think that this happens often. We have also seen, who did Jamie have? I'm trying to remember. Was it Tingana that got chased up the tree by the Nkuhuma lionesses? Leopards get chased up of trees by wild dogs all the time as well. That's like a wild dog's favorite thing to do, is to tree a leopard. It's like they get a thrill out of it. So I definitely think it happens often. Remember I told you the story of how I had Little Bush, her cub, Mashabeni, and the two Charleston male lions up in a massive fig tree in the Msukri River down at Sabi Sabi. That was an insane experience too. I think it happens relatively often. It's just you have to learn super quickly on how to get out of there as quick as possible. And Kuchava was really lucky today. Very, very lucky. Because, she ran off before any of those lionesses got close to her, hey, Seb? When she dashed, Seb and I sort of looked at one another when we went, what's going on? And like I said to you, I initially thought that maybe she'd seen a hyena or something going to where she'd last left the cub and she was running in to try and defend it. And then Seb was like, lion. But it was like a good 20 seconds after the whole thing happened. So just, like I said, it just goes to show how she picked up on that whole situation so quickly. So quickly. And those lions flew in. They have a charging speed of 22 meters per second. That's goodness gracious, drama in the Sabi Sand this afternoon, hey? Goodness, with Tristan trying to figure out what's happened with that lone lioness and how she got separated from her pride. Us sitting here on the edge of our seats, hoping that the Styx pride are going to move away and that Kuchava can go back and safely relocate and be reunited with her little one. Now, just to give you some indication as to where I am, we're on Chitwa, and we are currently quite close to Gari Main. I can actually see the power lines, the boundary, probably only about 100 meters or so. And then we're quite close to the old Chitwa driveway, so Tristan would know exactly where I am. We're just off a road called Bukalutu for reference for Tristan. Rebecca, good luck. Let's hear you repeat that back to Tristan. So we're quite far east. From where Rebecca's now laughing, going, she's not able to repeat that. So basically, Rebecca, we are in the eastern corner of Chitwa. essentially. I'm trying to think, if that lioness is going towards Twin Dams, we're probably about 1 kilometer as the crow flies south from where Tristan is. So not too far away. And I wonder if she could have heard all that commotion. Oh, look how she's pricked her ears up. I'm wondering if those lions are not on the move now. See how her head sort of changed direction? She's looking a little bit more to the left. So I'm listening carefully to see if I can hear any rustling moving through the grass, through the leaves now. I'm also looking behind the vehicle to see if I can spot any of the lions. But nothing just yet. Perhaps those lions have taken a break. She's definitely going to go looking for her cub. But once those lions move out of the area, she just runs the risk, if she goes off of this termite mound and starts slinking through the grass, that A, either those Styx lions are going to hear her, B, they're going to maybe smell her, and they're definitely going to chase after her. Just having a look. I wonder what's going on. Maybe that cub is even starting to move. I hope that that's not the case. I hope that little one stays put wherever it is. Now, Eagle Scouts, a relatively hard question to answer. You're wondering who's got the strongest bond between their cubs, either a leopard or a lion. Well, lions obviously live in prides. So, the lionesses are quite lucky in the sense that sometimes they end up palming their cubs off on the other lions or some of the older sub-adult lions and, put them on babysitting duty. That definitely happens. But both of them will have an equally strong bond with their little ones. I mean, I've seen both lion and leopard that have lost their youngsters, and you can clearly see that they are distressed in a situation like that. So it's quite tricky. It's a hard one to say who's better off. I think that they'll be the same. Remember, leopards are, of course, solitary. So it's mom and offspring that are together. There's no one else. Sometimes the male pops on by, but it's just them. So you can imagine, probably be a little bit harder.